Reflections of a Simple American. Brought to you by Spirituality. Episode 1, Part 7, George Washington's Farewell Address. Greetings, citizen, and welcome back. In this episode of Reflections of a Simple American, I look forward to your company in listening to Washington turn his attention to the subjects of neutrality and foreign influence. I invite you to ponder his words on these subjects as we reflect together on this message. Chapter 7. Neutrality and Foreign Influence.
The great rule of conduct for us, in regard to foreign nations, is, in extending our commercial relations, to have with them as little political connection as possible. So far as we have already formed engagements, let them be fulfilled with perfect good faith. Here let us stop. Europe has a set of primary interests which to us have none, or a very remote relation. Hence she must be engaged in frequent controversies, the causes of which are essentially foreign to our concerns. Hence, therefore, it must be unwise in us to implicate ourselves by artificial ties in the ordinary vicissitudes of her politics, or the ordinary combinations and collisions of her friendships or enmities. Our detached and distant situation invites and enables us to pursue a different course. If we remain one people, under an efficient government, the period is not far off, when we may defy material injury from external annoyance. When we may take such an attitude as will cause the neutrality we may at any time resolve upon to be scrupulously respected. When belligerent nations, under the impossibility of making acquisitions upon us, will not lightly hazard the giving us provocation. When we may choose peace or war as our interest, guided by justice, shall counsel. Why forego the advantages of so peculiar a situation? Why quit our own to stand upon foreign ground? Why, by interweaving our destiny with that of any part of Europe, entangle our peace and prosperity in the toils of European ambition, rivalship, interest, humor, or caprice? It is our true policy to steer clear of permanent alliances with any portion of the foreign world. So far, I mean, as we are now at liberty to do it. For let me not be understood as capable of patronizing infidelity to existing engagements. I hold the maxim no less applicable to public than to private affairs, that honesty is always the best policy. I repeat it, therefore, let those engagements be observed in their genuine sense. But in my opinion, it is unnecessary and would be unwise to extend them. Taking care always to keep ourselves by suitable establishments on a respectable defensive posture, we may safely trust to temporary alliances for extraordinary emergencies. Harmony, liberal intercourse with all nations are recommended by policy, humanity, and interest. But even our commercial policy should hold an equal and impartial hand, neither seeking nor granting exclusive favors or preferences, consulting the natural course of things, diffusing and diversifying by gentle means the streams of commerce, but forcing nothing, establishing with powers so disposed in order to give trade a stable course, to define the rights of our merchants and to enable the government to support them. Conventional rules of intercourse, the best that present circumstances and mutual opinion will permit, but temporary and liable to be from time to time abandoned or varied, as experience and circumstances shall dictate, constantly keeping in view that it is folly in one nation to look for disinterested favors from another, that it must pay with a portion of its independence for whatever it may accept under that character, that by such acceptance it may place itself in the condition of having given equivalents for nominal favors, and yet of being reproached with ingratitude for not giving more. There can be no greater error than to expect or calculate upon real favors from nation to nation. It is an illusion, which experience must cure, which a just pride ought to discard.
Interpretation and reflection.
In this next paragraph, Washington begins by continuing to speak on foreign nations, expressing that a great rule of conduct that we should be observing is that while we may have commercial relations, we should have as little political connection as possible. If we have any current connections, we should honor them in good faith, but cease to form any further ones. Washington begins this next paragraph by specifically speaking of Europe, and how their interests reflect some factors, like geographical proximity for instance, that we do not share. He warns that they are engaged in, quote, frequent controversies, the causes of which are essentially foreign to our concerns, end quote. He continues by speaking on how it would be unwise to intertwine ourselves within these designs because of the web of politics, be they of a friendly or contentious nature. Washington continues into this next paragraph by speaking about our, quote, detached and distant situation, end quote, presumably our remote geographical location, and how this gives us the opportunity to choose a different path if we remain united and, quote, under an efficient government, end quote. This opportunity is that we may choose a path of neutrality, resulting in the respect of many nations and a greater security from those seeking to take from others, as they will see this not only as physically difficult, but due to our status and position, they will also not take us lightly as a nation to be trifled with. This will further result in the opportunity to choose when we are to go to war, as to serve our own interest when it is just to do so. In this next paragraph, Washington asks a series of reflective questions regarding the path of neutrality. I'd like to reiterate them with a few of my own additions for clarity. Quote, why forego the advantages of so peculiar a situation? End quote. This first question refers to the last paragraph. Quote, why, by interweaving our destiny with that of any part of Europe, I'd like to broaden that from just Europe to any part of the world, entangle our peace and prosperity in the toils of European, or other regions, ambition, rivalship, interest, humor, or caprice? End quote. While Washington was speaking of Europe specifically in his speech due to historical context, can we ask ourselves these questions in our day, since we now live in a more developed and connected world? Washington begins this next paragraph speaking of the current policy in his day to steer clear of permanent alliances. He makes an assertion that he isn't speaking negatively about current alliances that the United States holds at that time, and he even states that he believes that honesty is the best policy in both private arrangements as well as public. He speaks of the integrity of holding current alliances in a genuine sense, but then follows up with warning about extending those alliances, referring to this extension as unnecessary and unwise. Washington keeps this next paragraph brief, speaking of the advantages of keeping a defensive and respectable approach to foreign policy, and that if we hold this position, we can safely rely on temporary alliances in the occasion in which an extraordinary emergency emerges. In this next paragraph, Washington speaks on foreign policy, and that how it is recommended that, quote, policy, humanity, and interest, end quote, are all dictating factors in our interactions with all nations. He further delves into trade and commerce here, and circles back to impartiality, as we should seek fairness in all of our engagements. He speaks of, quote, gentle means, end quote, and, quote, forcing nothing, end quote, in order to facilitate stable trade, and how government should be supporting our merchants by ensuring their rights are upheld. He speaks on the folly of looking for special favors from specific nations, and warns of giving special favors to others, citing experience and tempered expectations.
Thanks for stopping by. If you haven't seen episodes 1 through 6 yet, you can find them on the Spirituality YouTube channel. The final episode, number 8, is planned to release on Saturday, August 22nd, so stay tuned if you'd like to conclude studying Washington's farewell address together.